My mother casually told the family that she had taken out a loan in my daughter's name. She can handle it, she said with a grin. The whole table burst into laughter until the bank called to inform us that it was, in fact, fraud. The change in my mom's expression was instant, from smug to fearful. I was at my aunt's house when I found out. We were all outside, enjoying a barbecue. The sun was shining, kids were running around, someone was burning the burgers, and the adults were chatting and laughing over old memories. Then, right in the middle of it all, my mom dropped the bomb. She leaned back in her chair, took a sip of her drink, and casually said, "Oh, I took out a loan in her name," nodding toward me. She can afford it. The way she said it, so smug, as though it was a harmless joke or something I should be grateful for. The entire table laughed. My uncle shook his head and said, "You really got her, huh?" My aunt, half chewing a bite of potato salad, giggled and said, "Well, she does have a good job." I sat there in shock. It felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "What?" I finally managed to say. My mom dismissed it with a wave of her hand. "It's just a small loan," she said. "Nothing to get worked up about." My heart was pounding in my chest. How did you even? "Don't make a big deal of it," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're social. You don't even check your credit. You'll be fine." I could feel the blood rushing to my head. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. My own mother had stolen my identity, taken out a loan, and she acted like it was no big deal. Worse, my family was treating it like a joke. Before I could process what was happening, my phone rang. I glanced down at the unfamiliar number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something told me to answer. "Hello?" I said. "Hi, is this?" a calm voice asked from the other end. "Yes. This is Samantha from bank name. We're calling about the personal loan you recently opened. We just need to confirm a few details before we finalize the transaction." My stomach dropped. "What loan?" My voice trembled. There was a pause. "Ma'am, are you saying you didn't apply for a personal loan with us?" I did not. My hands were freezing. A long, heavy silence passed. Then, the voice said something that sent a chill through my entire body. "Ma'am, if you did not authorize this loan, then this is a case of identity theft and fraud." And just like that, the laughter at the table stopped. The change in my mom's face was immediate. She went from smug to terrified. The whole backyard was now silent. My mom, who had been laughing just moments ago, was now stiff, holding her drink as though she wished she could vanish. I stood up so quickly that my chair almost tipped over. The whole family was staring at me now. My mom was frozen in place. "Samantha," I said, my voice strained but steady, "can you tell me how much this loan is for?" There was a pause, and then Samantha told me a number that made my knees feel weak. $30,000. I could barely breathe. "When was it taken out?" "Last month," she said. "We sent paperwork to the address on file, but we never received a response. We also attempted to contact you before finalizing the funds, but..." My mom intercepted them. I whispered, the truth dawning on me. And that's when my mom lost it. "Oh, stop being so dramatic," she snapped, slamming her drink down. "It's not like I took out a mortgage in your name. It's just a little loan. You make enough to cover it." I turned to her, trembling. "You stole from me." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "After everything I've done for you, you're going to act like this?" She waved a hand at the table, searching for some kind of support. "I gave you life. I raised you, and now you're mad because I borrowed a little money?" No one said a word. My aunt, who had been laughing moments ago, was now staring at her plate. My uncle, who had made the joke with her, suddenly couldn't look me in the eye. I turned to my mom. "You didn't borrow anything. You stole my identity. That's a crime." "Oh, give me a break, Samantha," I said, my grip tightening on the phone, my knuckles white. "I'm reporting this as fraud, right now." My mom's face shifted to something I'd never seen before: fear, her arrogance, her confidence. It disappeared in an instant. "Wait," she said, rushing toward me, reaching out. "Let's just talk." But I was already walking away. "Ma'am," Samantha said, "I need to transfer you to our fraud department." "Do it." I didn't look back, but as I stepped into the front yard, I heard my mother's voice, sharp and panicked. "Are you really going to do this to your own mother?" I spun around, my anger boiling over. "Are you really going to steal from your own daughter?" Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. For the first time in my life, she had no words. I walked away, shaking with rage, but before I could process everything, I heard her footsteps behind me. She was following me. "Wait, just wait," she begged, grabbing my arm. I jerked it away, Don't touch me. She panted, eyes frantic as she searched for the right excuse, the right lie to make it all go away. Listen, she said quietly, as though she didn't want the rest of the family to hear. I needed the money, I was going to pay it back. I let out a bitter laugh. With what, Mom? You're broke, you don't even have a job. Her face twitched. I had a plan, okay? You wouldn't have even noticed if you hadn't picked up that call. I stepped back, disgusted. So you just hoped I'd never find out? That I'd keep paying, thinking it was a mistake? She crossed her arms. You're being really selfish right now. I almost choked on my words. Selfish? I raised you, she hissed, her eyes wild. You think that was free? You think food, clothes, shelter, none of that cost anything? You owe me. I felt nauseous. Are you seriously saying I owe you $30,000 for existing? She didn't respond. She just glared at me, lips pressed into a tight, furious line. Then, in a chilling tone, she said, I did what I had to do. There was something cold, calculating in her voice that made my stomach churn. Just then, my phone buzzed again, another unfamiliar number. I hesitated, but something told me to answer. Hello? I said, my voice tight. Hi, this is Daniel from Capital One. We're calling regarding the credit card application you submitted last week. We just need to verify a few. I nearly dropped the phone. What credit card? I interrupted him. Silence hung in the air. Then you didn't apply for a credit card with us? The voice asked again. The blood drained from my face. My mother shifted her gaze, suddenly fixated on a crack in the pavement. Taking a deep, unsteady breath, I turned to her. How many, Mom? She didn't respond. I moved closer, my voice as cold as ice. How many? She clenched her jaw. It doesn't matter, she muttered. My heart was racing, barely able to keep up with the situation. How many credit cards did you open in my name? She sighed heavily, as though I was the one making things difficult. Just a few, she mumbled. My vision blurred with fury. Define a few. Her silence was all I needed to hear. I pulled my phone away from my ear. Daniel, I said, my voice trembling, I need to report fraud. Before I could do anything else, my mother lunged forward, snatching the phone out of my hand. The call ended abruptly. What the hell? I yelled. She was panting now, eyes darting around nervously. You're not going to do this. You're not going to ruin me over a little bit of money, she said, shaking. My hands were trembling. You've already ruined yourself, I shot back. Her face contorted with fury. You're my daughter, you should be helping me, not trying to send me to prison, she spat. I stared at her, barely recognizing the woman before me, the one who raised me, who claimed to love me, but had been using me like a credit card machine. I turned sharply and walked back into the house. Where are you going? She demanded. I ignored her, heading straight for my aunt, still sitting at the table, looking incredibly uncomfortable. I need a ride home, I said, my tone clipped. My aunt hesitated, glancing at my mother, who stood in the doorway, pale and shaking. She stole my identity, I said, my voice steady now. She took out loans, credit cards, I don't even know how many yet. I glanced around at the rest of the family, all of them suddenly silent. And none of you thought to tell me? No one responded. I shook my head in disbelief. Unbelievable. Then, I made my declaration loud and clear. I'm pressing charges. The table erupted in gasps. Behind me, I heard my mother let out a strangled noise, half sob, half gasp. Then, under her breath, she muttered something I wasn't meant to hear. You have no idea what you've just done. That's when it hit me. This was much bigger than I'd realized. A chill ran down my spine. You have no idea what you've just done, my mom repeated, her voice low and menacing. It wasn't a plea, it was a threat. The table was still frozen. My aunt looked like she wanted to disappear. My uncle rubbed his face, likely regretting ever attending, and my cousins stared down at their plates, pretending they weren't listening. But me? I was done. I slowly turned around. My mom was standing in the doorway, fists clenched, her face pale but burning with anger. What exactly have I done, Mom? I asked, my voice steady. I held you accountable, she shot back. Her eyes flashed with fury. You think you're so clever? You have no idea what's coming. In that moment, I realized she wasn't afraid of getting caught, she was terrified of what I was about to uncover. I grabbed my phone, marched straight out the door, and called the bank back. One fraud report wasn't enough. In my aunt's car, hands still shaking, I called every financial institution I could think of: Capital One, Chase, Wells Fargo, American Express. Piece by piece, the truth came together. My mom had been living off my name for years: credit cards, a personal loan, a car loan. She had even tried to refinance my house under my name, though they'd turned her down. I was drowning in debt I hadn't known existed, and my credit was shattered. I wanted to scream, throw something, cry, but I didn't. I had a plan. The next day, I was in a lawyer's office, clutching bank statements, fraudulent credit lines, and emails my mom had sent in my name. The lawyer flipped through everything, his expression unreadable, before finally saying, "You have a solid case. We can move forward with criminal charges immediately." I let out a long breath. Do it. My mom had no idea what was coming for her. I didn't go back to her house. I ignored her texts, calls, and long voicemails full of apologies, then blame. I focused on fixing my life. I worked with fraud specialists, disputing the fraudulent accounts. Some were reversed quickly, others would take months or even years to correct. My credit was wrecked, but I wouldn't give up. While I was rebuilding, my mom's nightmare was just beginning. First, the bank froze the fraudulent accounts. Then, the fraud investigation began. Finally, I got the call I had been waiting for. "Detective Ms." The voice on the other end said, "We've completed our investigation. Given the amount of money involved and clear evidence of intent, we're proceeding with charges." My heart skipped a beat. What does that mean? It means we're issuing a warrant for her arrest. I closed my eyes, feeling a flood of emotions: relief, rage, sadness, and, finally, satisfaction. The day my mom was arrested, I wasn't there, but I heard the details. She had been at home, probably thinking she got away with it. When the cops knocked, she screamed, cried, begged them to let her off the hook. "It was just a mistake. I'm her mother. Can't we fix this as a family?" The officers didn't listen. They cuffed her, marched her to the squad car, and took her away. And just like that, my mom, the woman who had stolen my name, my future, my trust, was facing justice. It didn't end there. She lost the car she'd bought using my credit, the house she was trying to steal, and all the fraudulent accounts. Because she had racked up debts of her own, she had nothing left. She called me from jail. I let it go to voicemail. She texted me from a burner phone. I blocked her. She even had my aunt reach out to convince me to forgive her. I told my aunt that if she contacted me again, I'd add her name to the fraud case. And just like that, silence. My mom served time. Not much, just 18 months, but it was enough. When she got out, she had nothing: no money, no home, no credit, no power. And me? I rebuilt my life. It took years, but I did it. I restored my credit, saved money, and made sure she would never have access to me or my finances again. She tried reaching out after she got out: letters, random emails, even messages through family. I never responded. As far as I was concerned, she was dead to me. And that was my final revenge. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay stunned.